Hello and welcome to today's tutorial. This is to help you replace your knitwear if you've dropped stitches and replace it on your machine and pick up where you left off. So salvaging your dropped pieces off your knitting machine. Let's get started. So the first thing I'm doing here is I'm actually lifting up the number of needles that I know that the piece is, and I'm pushing the needles out into the B working position. And what's really helpful to do here for the needles is to actually take that small latch and push it back so that it doesn't get in the way when you put your piece back on. In this example, I have the beginning of a sweater that actually the yarn tore and it came off the machine, so we're replacing it. It's important to remember you're going to need a few rows in order to unravel to get back to a consistent row on your machine. So just making sure once it's on the machine that you subtract the number of rows you remove in order to get it ready to reknit. So I'm actually starting on the left and working my way to the right. I am left-handed, and so it's easier to work with the hand direction. I find that that's easier and the knit doesn't get in the way. So working towards your carriage is also helpful, but you can go the other way if it feels easier. When you've placed all the loops back on, take your needles and push them up to the non-working position. And that just helps them not drop as you continue moving down the piece. So you can see I'm getting close to the end here. There's also no weight on the knit right now, and it's okay if it unravels. Just use the loop underneath. Again, we're gonna take a couple of rows away until we're evenly on the same row on the needle bed. So once you've got every loop on the machine, you can add some weight. So now that the comb, the casting on comb is no longer there, I'm adding manually the combed weights. And now I'm going to start pulling the yarn and evening out the rows. And the first thing you'll need to do is actually push all your loops back now between the latch and the hook, one by one, until they are all in that main hook of the needle and ready for you to remove some rows and even things out. When you're finished with that, you can now start to remove the yarn and work from one end to the other, removing rows. Some needles may already be on, and some actually you may have gotten the row underneath, and so you'll see that there may be space between, but that's why we're removing some rows, just to get even on the loops and the row that is going to be working and beginning our knit once again. So in this case, I'm unraveling a total of 2 rows, and that way I know for sure every single loop in the working position is in fact the same working row. This is really difficult to do if your needles are pushed all the way up. Again, you really need to have the loop in between the latch and the hook, and then you can really move freely, lifting the yarn up and over the hook of the needle and slowly removing the row, one by one. So there you can see we're back to an even row and we've got weights, and now you can actually take your yarn and insert it into your carriage and continue knitting as you would. You'll have an edge that you'll need to clean finish on the hem on the inside, but otherwise you are all ready to go. I hope that was a helpful tutorial for you on how to salvage your drop knitted pieces and get them back on your machine. For more helpful videos like this, subscribe at CF Studio on YouTube or visit carolynferreira.com.